If you ever find yourself stuck in the middle of the sea, I'll sail the world to find you.
5,000, so it's 5 liters.
And if you ever find yourself lost in the dark and you can't see, I'll be the light to guide you. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me like 1, 2, 3, and I'll be there. And I know when I need it, I can count on you like 4, 3, 2, and you'll be there. 'Cause that's what friends are supposed to do. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, if you ever forget how much you really mean to me, every day I will remind you. Oh, oh, oh. Find out what we're made of when we are called to help our friends in need. You can count on me.
Over to you, Renata.
Assalamu alaikum, guys. First of all, thank you very much for having us on. Feel a bit strange because obviously all the speakers are very knowledgeable and a lot more educated than we are. Then we come in with this dramatic video as an introduction. But nonetheless, thank you so much for that. So just a quick, I guess, to let you know a little bit about my journey. So first got introduced to kidney disease when I was 11. At that time, we had absolutely no idea what was going on, not something that was ran in our family. I was a very healthy child, no issues whatsoever. So when it first happened, it was a complete shock to everybody, to my family, to myself. I don't remember too much of it at that time. I just remember being very ill and most of my life being spent in the hospital during that time. And I think it just, obviously from a family's point of view, just obviously at that point, just not knowing anything about it, all of a sudden being told that your 11-year-old has got, like blood pressure through the roof, and all of a sudden she's gone into a cardiac arrest, her kidneys have failed, she's in a coma, she's not going to make it, all these kind of things. It's just like, what, she's 11, what are you talking about? So it's one of those things that we think that certain illnesses, certain conditions, we automatically assume it's only going to happen when you're older. I know myself, I think about high blood pressure, I think about anything, even kidney failure. I think straight away you automatically think, oh yeah, that might happen perhaps when I'm older, or to my parents. You don't really think it's going to happen to a child. Obviously that our perspective changed all of a sudden when that happened to myself. And just obviously, so you saw from the video, this is obviously the more recent, this is from last year. When it first happened, it was a lot more sudden, so there was even more tablets. It was a different version of dialysis, which is much more invasive, and something you never forget is a form called hemodialysis. With that, you're in a hospital 3-4 times a week, sat in this machine for 3-4 hours, absolutely drains the life out of you. Feel horrible throughout the day. It's just, oh god, like that image, that feeling is just something I'll never ever forget. So when it came to this time round, when they asked me which type I wanted, straight away I was like, I'm not having that one, no thanks. But unfortunately, obviously not everybody has that choice. That was when I was first a child. It was 2 years I had dialysis for. So 2 years, they could only test one person at a time. The first, it was my dad who went for testing, and with him they found out he was a match, but his blood pressure was actually too high. Then again, also just to stress the importance of the person donating. If there's any small issue, they're not going to go ahead with it. It's the person who's donating, they're the utmost priority, rightly so. So that's a huge reassurance for everybody. And then eventually, I had my mammo who came forward. And at that time, there was a lot of not a lot. I would say there was a little bit different because this was completely new to us. It was my gran, so my nanny. So she was like, no, don't do it. You're engaged at the time, not married. And like, oh, you're just about to get married. What's going to happen? When we're about kids, this and that. And it's understandable if you don't know anything about it, then you're going to ask these questions. Obviously, it's a cultural, just lack of knowledge, isn't it? That's what these talks are about. And then the doctors and nurses came, and they had a chat with my gran and all the family, and sat them down, and we did the whole thing where we made them bagori and samosa and everything, and got everyone on good terms. But they were just so reassuring, and they were to convince my nanny is no easy thing. So the fact that they did that. Just goes to show that they knew what they were talking about. They just reassured her so much to say, look, he's our priority. We're not going to do this, and he's our utmost, his safety. All the tests that we've done is to make sure that they're both going to be okay, and all these things. And then only then was she like, okay, and she was like, will it affect his marital life? And they're like, no. And then that was fine. And then alhamdulillah, now that all went smoothly. That was so after 2 years, I was 13, and Malo now, mashallah, like he's got 2 kids. He's doing really, really well in his career. He's I won't say his age in case he watches back on this, but he looks a lot younger than he is. Actually, still playing sports, super active, super fit, like absolutely no. In fact, healthier than most because he's more aware now to look after himself. So when it came to this time round, this time was alhamdulillah lasted 17 years, which was amazing, and it started feeling a little bit earlier than expected, just because it was stressful events. I think obviously some of the doctors know that some traumatic events and stress can lead to health and illness problems. So that's kind of what happened with myself, and it was completely different this time around. It was a total different ballgame because I'm now an adult. So now the decisions are my own. As a kid, it was like my parents were making most of the decisions. Now I'm like, oh, okay, what's going on? So with regards to this time around, it's completely different, and we all have that thing. We want to protect our family. We don't. I think naturally, most of us, we don't want others to worry. So I initially didn't tell my family. I didn't tell my parents, my uncle who gave me the first kidney. I told my brothers. So Adil is next to me, and my younger brother Nabil. So they were the only 2 people I told. And the review was like,
yeah. So I think when similar to everyone, yeah. So Esther told us that she was her kidneys had started failing, the kidney level started going down a lot earlier. And I think without even asking, me and Laura both just said, okay, so what's next steps? How can we donate? Because I think that's probably a difficult question for some people to ask on how do you actually ask someone, can you give me your kidney? So I think we were like, I think how close we were, we wanted to put ourselves forward straight away. And I think it's got some forms we had to fill out, and then we went towards the hospital. But I think during that time, that's just when we mistakenly, I tried to. We were trying to keep it away from my mum, especially because she's a heart patient and gets quite stressed out. So we were trying to hide it from her as long as we could. And I thought it would be my brother who would blab and say something. Slip up, but it was actually me because I left out the form to say we're going to the hospital or something. So yeah, rookie mistake. She saw it and then she started asking questions.
You could have planted the seeds, so it's one of those things that we, as being more aware of adult knowing decisions, what's happening. I think I kind of knew how I wanted to deal with it, but it didn't change the difficulty of everything. Dialysis was still really difficult. So even though I had a choice this time round, you saw from the video, so every night you're setting up this machine, and the setup process takes ages. I was really lucky that I had my family, and it was 9 hours every single night, so you're restricted in that time. I was actually lucked out because COVID happened. In a sense, that worked in my favour because it meant that normally I would be trying to go to work, but because the whole world was shut down, I was like, all right, that's great. Like everything, the whole world was shut down with me, so that meant I couldn't work. It was high risk. So that if it wasn't for that, then I can't even imagine how I would have worked during it. Obviously, everyone's different, but I think the dialysis, like, it keeps you going, just and no more. That's the thing. Like, it is keeping you going, but your restricted lifestyle. I was on a fluid restriction, so I was only allowed. In fact, I've got what's this? I think that it's about more than I was allowed a day. This is, I don't know if you can see this bottle, but that was more than I was allowed in one day, and that's including all your medication. And there's like 20, 30 tablets a day. It was really difficult, and it's just I'm someone who always wants to do something, like activities, just getting tired all the time, feeling sick, couldn't eat my diet, gosh, like there was so little I could eat. So many things. You have to cut down dairy, cut down things that you think that are good for you, fruit. It's just really strange, and it's just, and I always learned that the hard way. I tried to eat something and think, oh, surely it can't be that bad, and then I ate it, and then I was like, oh, I shouldn't have done that. And then all of a sudden, alhamdulillah, like I just, I was just so grateful that I had people, I had a support system. I had my family who did come forward, and like Adil said, it's not an easy question. How are you supposed to ask somebody like, oh, have you got a kidney lying about? I might need one soon. Like, it's a very different question. That the mental aspects of it, the emotional and psychological aspects, are things that people don't talk about enough. It's very, very difficult because you're in a situation where you're going through something that is physically very demanding, very difficult, but you almost don't want to worry others too much. You don't want to put others in a negative state of mind or be like down all the time. So you hide a lot of things from people. So not everybody knows what you're going through unless they've been through it themselves. And then obviously with us, and I'm glad when we found out Adil was a match, even that came with so many emotions, and it was myself. I was like, no, I don't want to do it. So that came with a different side of things. It wasn't a straightforward, okay, yeah, great. In fact, I asked this question to a lot of people I knew who were in a similar situation. I said, when you first found out that a family member or friend wants to donate, what was your first reaction? And I think about 98% of them were like, yeah, I didn't want them to do it. And it's just, you want to protect them. There's all these what ifs. So it took a lot of convincing. It was not a straightforward thing. It's not as if we could great, but alhamdulillah, like ever since the operation, we, Gail can tell you obviously with the test that he had, and so they made sure that he was.
There was numerous.
So many,
initially it was just meeting with doctors initially, just do the usual blood test, urine test, height, weight, everything like that. Just asking about our own lifestyle, getting back to the gist of everything. Then there's multiple tests around. I think I had my blood taken every few hours for a full day just to make sure my blood's flowing correctly. I had kidney ultrasounds. I had extra tests as well because there was they had a problem with blood in my urine. So we did extra tests to make sure that I'm okay to actually donate. So that slightly delayed the process, but that's not there. Like if I said, the priority is myself for making sure that I'm okay. There was we met with surgeons as well. They explained the whole situation, what's going to happen, what the operation involves. We met someone impartial to discuss if I wasn't being coerced into giving the kidney. Someone just to make sure that it's up my own free will to do it. Yeah, so there was loads of. I'm sure there's loads of others. I can't even remember.
There's so many actually. I made this blog. There were so many tests involved. And like I said, that's the main thing. And I think this time round, obviously, yes, I was more hesitant, but with the deal, because he'd seen my mammal, that was the biggest reassurance.
Yeah, that definitely helped me a lot. I think. Because when it first happened with Isra, when she was young, I was young myself, so I didn't actually know what was going on. All I remember is Isra going to hospital all the time, and me and my brother were young. We just wanted to cause havoc in the house, and we were like, "Oh, what's going on?" So, so when it came to this time, I was, like I said, I was pretty much straight up. Yeah, what's the steps? Probably should have questioned it a little bit, spoke to my wife and stuff like that. But yeah, I think after I knew I was initial match, that's when I kind of spoke to my uncle as well and just kind of asked him what was it like, and just seeing him as an example that he's gone on to get married, have kids. He still plays football with us every week. We play sports regularly. We go to cinema. Everything, nothing's changed in his life. Just knowing that was a kind of example that I had made it a lot easier. obviously there was doubts. My wife had doubts. My mum was concerned as well. Like family was concerned that like, oh, I'm still young, and like I'm just newly married. What if? And but it's obviously we know it's in our hands. So and like we said, the tests are for you to make sure that you're okay.
That's it. And I don't know, just to kind of like sum up, that's like Adele was saying. I mean, I am fully aware of just how lucky I am. Just I mean, alhamdulillah, like I said, I hid it for most of the time when all this happened, but slowly as more people found out, I had a lot of people that came forward, whether it was even friends, colleagues, family. That's not normal, and I'm fully aware that's not a normal thing. And you know, for my family, but 2 members I see like on a regular basis, Adele and my mamo, that they quite literally did save my life. And it's like before then, like my life was on hold, you could say. It was so restricted, and it's almost like you've got your life back. Like, I mean, the difference into transplant is unbelievable. Like, all of a sudden I can, in fact, there's really nothing that I can do now. The only thing is obviously it's just being slightly immunosuppressed, just being careful, like most people should. But now my energy levels are through the roof. Like, I can eat and drink what I want. There's no restrictions. Working, alhamdulillah, like, and there's absolutely no limitations. So you're quite literally giving someone their life back. And I just can't imagine, as obviously Dr. Gardner and Dr. Fried were saying, like, I can't even think about how long I would be waiting if I didn't have, like, alhamdulillah, such an amazing family. And our point of view is obviously if you're able to do something like that when your organs are no longer any use to you, then like it's the biggest sadaqah jariyah. That's all I can say.